welcome to game number 2. This time we've got a bit of PvT action going down in Group G of ASL Challenge League, and our first player up in the top left-hand corner is our Pink Protoss Punisher. Having gone 2-0 in his previous game, he needs to win this set to make it out the group in first place. It is StuN. Of course, representing StuN.
And on the opposite side of the map, representing, probably going to be mispronouncing this, but Y Spider and their Korean division going for a 14cc. This is Nado.
This is crazy. Oh my god, he's got 3 random SCVs dancing around here. So StuN, when he scouts, thinks Nado's on a much lower SCV count, sees no barracks, and assumes he's being proxy raxed.
And it's actually a 14cc.
This is genius.
The level of mind game, like, this is the thing that you talk about as a joke.
Yeah,
you're like yeah, you could do the build where you like 14cc somewhere on the random spot of the map, and then you make it look like you double proxy racks. Yeah. Like,
yeah, that's what we do. See, the only thing I don't like about this is the response to this from StuN is exactly what he's doing. He's chronoing out a Zealot and a Stalker, and then he's probably just gonna, like, he might stay at home and defend for a little while, but having not found any proxy Drax, he might just go, okay, what's going on? I've chronoed out Zealot and Stalker. Let's just go and kill him. And there's not really much reason why he can't do that. However, man, Nado is now one of my favorite Terrans.
Just instant respect, instant street cred, and
see, here comes StuN.
We'll see how it stands up. I mean, as you mentioned, there's not going to be a lot of Marines out on the field. They are coming out 2 at a time, but hey, you know what? A couple of Zealot swipes will take that number right down.
This bunker's going to be finished, so it might be a hold for Nado. The only problem is the SCV line is a long way away if he wants to pull them and start repairing. And this Stalker's actually already here before the bunker's even finished. But now it is done. I think Nado's going to need to pull a couple SCVs to actually defend it. No, it looks like StuN's actually going to send the Zealot back home. He does have another Stalker coming to meet it. But yeah, now the Nexus comes down to StuN. Nado through 3rd CC. This is hilarious.
A 3rd CC on just 2 racks. He really wants to play the greed game. He's going to be adding on the additional racks, going, I guess, for just a bit of a mega racks. And this is actually completely gasless. Wow.
StuN, he didn't walk up that ramp. That was the opportunity. Nado came up with all his Marines to fight off that Mothership Core, and StuN, I mean, he just doesn't know what's going on, because I don't know what's going on. Nobody in this game knows what's going on except for Nado, and wow. This is really something. I've never seen anything like this before, and Nado's going to be pulling it off with style. The engineering bay coming down in case of proxy Oracle, in case of Oracle, I guess. Of course, StuN's actually going into the Robo pretty quickly, so he's going to get some reserves out. He wants to know just what the hell is going on inside Nado's base, and why he's seen this kind of crazy stuff that he scouted. Because what he scouted really doesn't make any sense.
To follow this up, Nado actually walks in with an SCV past some sentries and pretty much gets a complete scout off. He sees the Nexus, the natural Nexus, pretty much finishing up, and then he walks in, he sees the Robo, and I mean, everything else is normal. So it's not... This has gone about as poorly for StuN as it probably could have, and probably about as well as it could considering what Nado did. This is just so weird, though.
Yeah, one of the cool things as well is Nado can kind of hide gases. Like, he can look like he's only on 2 gases, and StuN will scout him and be like, oh, he's only on 2 gases, when's he going to take these gases natural? And then he just takes like 2 more gases down at the hidden base. He's only got 1 at the minute, but oh man, there's so many options you can do with this, and he's going to move out, kind of poke these Stalkers away.
Bit of a misrally.
Yeah, a little bit. This observer is going to kind of see basically a normal sort of looking Terran base. Whoa.
Yeah.
Oh. bit of a missed micro from StuN there. He gets caught off guard, and Nado's going to take out both the Stalkers, get a lot of free reign. Immediately, we see him moving out with a couple of Marines, now that he knows that actually those Stalkers aren't there to drive him away. And he's going to be scouting out of his own. There's a Marine coming all the way across the map, basically, trying to... there's the scan as well, so he's going to see the robotic facility. Doesn't quite catch that robotics bay, I don't think. Oh no, just on the edge. Perfect. So he knows exactly what's coming out of StuN, and Nado has all the tempo in this game that he needs. He knows everything that's going on, and he's going to be able to respond perfectly.
I suppose the nice thing for StuN is that because of the way this build works out, with the triple racks follow-up to the basically 3cc, you end up getting like super late medevacs, so he doesn't have to worry about, you know, drops or anything like that. And with his observer placement, he knows that there hasn't been a big move out through the middle of the map just yet, and the Zealot will maintain control of that watchtower. So he'll have a pretty good idea that there's nothing too crazy heading his way. He can play defensive for now, try to take a third at some point in the near future. Yeah,
he can. I mean, the thing is, that'll put him on equal basis with Nado, and Nado could be taking a fourth sometime pretty soon, but to be honest, I actually think he's just going to gear up for a huge attack sometime a little later on. This is like the normal kind of push out a Terran does, although usually it has medevacs, I guess, but they're going to be, they'll probably join up with the army. And yeah, I don't know, might even be able to deny StuN's third base. No, he's got 2 Colossi, actually. It'll be okay.
Of course, Nado has to be very careful with that stem, which he does have researched, so he can stem, but the question is, I suppose, should he stem with so few medevacs? Well, presently 0 out on the map, but 2 currently on the way. The other kind of nice thing is that 4th command center, as you mentioned, at the normal 3rd CC place, so he's going to be dropping that down. And again, as far as StuN knows, he's basically going to be on equal bases, but wow, this base in the bottom.
Nado is he's just got everything going on. He's going to be, as you say, on 4 CCs. He could even make the one at the third a planetary, just why not? But to be honest, I kind of prefer making it into an actual orbital command, just because if you make it into planetary, you'll be like, why is he making it planetary? Oh, that's an orbital command. And then the mule power will be so hot. But,
adorable micro of each individual Marine as it gets low on HP. So nice from Nado. It's not a big deal. He's a kind commander, just saving those little Marines. Of course, he's powered up quite a bit, as of course he's, nearly sitting at 70 SCVs, which when you start counting in those mules, that's pretty healthy income.
Yeah, his income currently looking at about 2,200 minerals a minute, 700 gas, and that is pretty strong for a Terran. He's got a decent lead, and now his tech's starting to catch up. These medevacs coming out, joining up with the army. He's going to be able to completely overpower StuN in just a few minutes. Already, he's got a nice army supply advantage, but that is just going to grow and grow and grow. StuN's armies are a little split up at the minute, but if Nado moves too far in, he'll kind of get caught in a concave. And yeah, StuN actually coming in to join up. Gets a nice little concave. These Colossi are going to be doing a lot of damage, but one of them on the left gets taken out. And everything. The gateway is just not enough. Nado has way too much bio here. But the high ground advantage, this positional advantage of these Colossi is going to improve a little too much. With the sentries there, StuN could have very easily force fielded Nado out. And so he's going to be content with picking off a Colossus. Just back on off and get the Ghost Academy on the way. He wants to play this long game. There's no chance we're going to see an SCV pull. He's already just at the start made it pretty clear that he wants to take this in a macro game.
Well, when you go for an extremely fast 3cc like he did, and then even a fast 4 and, well, I guess fast 5cc as well, you get that kind of advantage. Vikings starting to come out in pretty reasonable numbers as well. It's not like an overwhelming number of Vikings or anything just yet. And actually, these Zealots, are they going to actually get the tip-off? They will be cut down by this force. Wow.
Oh. Did he see them moving out, or is that just pure luck? I guess he must have done, because he moves his army back round. He has been really good at keeping random Marines around the map as kind of just scouting, such as this one. So, yeah, now as as we saw a little bit before, there's actually double Viking production, and he's now sitting at 11 Vikings. Well, a little bit trade-off. Stalker does go down, and this one is going to escape. But yeah, a few more Vikings I would like to see. 14 Vikings will one-shot Colossus, so just 3 more Vikings would bring him up to that. But StuN only has, he does actually have 5 Colossus. Yeah, I'd like to see the extra 3 Vikings, but it doesn't matter too much. Nado does have just so much coming. He's going to be maxing out pretty soon, trading against StuN as much as he can whenever possible. And it should go really, really well for him. A few more Zealots are going to be making their way across the map, trying to run by into this third base, which has 2 more orbital command or command centers at it or being built. So,
oh man,
oh my god, and another base going down for Nado as well.
StuN going to be adding on that Templar Archives just a couple of seconds away from finishing. But of course, the first round of Ghosts is already on the way. Now, personal cloaking won't be done for another 100 seconds or so, but still, these Templar are not exactly going to be ready to storm down on this army either for quite some time. Vikings get some nice shots off, eliminated one of the Colossi extremely quickly. Now, of course, he's going to have to stutter step back against this. Well, the wall of Zealots is actually kind of shrinking, as now the Colossi are a bit exposed, and StuN needs to back up right here, right now. He's going to be losing absolutely everything.
Yeah, and now Nado surges forward into third base. Across the map, the Zealot run by has done some damage to the third of Nado, but StuN's third is going to go down. He has nothing to contend with this bio. The army supply advantage is enormous here for the Terran player.
Protoss trying to walk up a ramp. Now this bio has been stimmed nearly to death, but there's the pickup of the Metamax into the natural expansion, into the waiting arms of the Colossi, but this is more than enough Marauders to snipe that if they want. He's going to try to back away. He's going to get caught by the Stalkers between a rock and a hard place. He needs to just go for it, because if he can't escape... Oh, can he actually? Man, some of these Metavacs so close to dying.
That went so well for Nado. Again, StuN accidentally starts his Colossus attacking his own simulator. So he'd kill 1 or 2 Marines with the Zealots, while a ton of damage was done to that Colossus. Of course, it's going to regen most of its shields, but again, the double Viking production has Nado already back up at 9 Vikings now, and he's even getting +2 vehicle and ship weapons up. He's already on 3-3 for his bio, and StuN lagging a little behind at just 3-2. Storm only just started a short while ago, and as we know, Nado's already had Ghosts on the field for quite a while.
The Ghost count presently at 3, not particularly high, but as long as he lands some nice EMPs, then, he may not need a crazy number of Ghosts.
I just looked at the income advantage for Nado. He's got triple the income.
Wow! He's going to step right into the natural of StuN, and StuN, can he actually hold? There's going to be the EMP on top of those High Templar as the Colossi fall. Now this wall of Zealots will be eventually whittled down. The stutter step is all right. It's good enough.
Yeah, it is. I mean, oh my god, I thought Nado's army looked a bit small. Here we go in the main. Huge drop going down, 10 probe snipes, and it's doing so much damage. The Templar Archives does just barely manage to complete Storm. It would be awesome to see that snipe down, but back in the natural, everything's gone down here. 1 arm play, and GG to StuN. Nado takes game number 1. Here we come into Echo, and our first player down in the bottom right-hand spawn. Saw him pull off some crazy hidden CC plays in the last game. What's he got in store for us this time? It is the red Terran player, Nado.
And in the top left corner, representing SPENU, also once known as StarTale. Presently SPENU, this is StuN. In the first series, StuN smashes through active, showing that, Kespa Protoss power, and then, game 1, who knew that a 1 base advantage all game long would just give you that power to just smash nerds?
Who knew? And this time again, Nado is going to go for the 14cc, though in a slightly more typical fashion than we saw last game. The probe press is going to be a little annoying, though actually I think Nado reacts quickly enough that he wins that fight, but a probe comes down, or an SCV even comes down from the natural, and we'll be able to drive away this annoying little probe with its overpowered lightning. And yeah, not too bad. Looks like Nado's going to get away with it. We could see, again, StuN decide to cry out the units, but we didn't see it go too well for him last game. And it looks like he's actually going to respond to greed with greed and throw down his own Nexus first.
Not too shabby. I mean, Nexus going to be at a reasonable time as well. Of course, it's, 50 seconds or so delayed behind that CC. First rack's going to be on the way, but it's joined up by that second rack's. Now, in the previous game, I don't know if this is a Korean thing, because I've seen Koreans do it more often than foreigners, but where you go CC first and then you follow up with the 3 racks. Like, I see more of, I feel like foreigners go, if they do CC first, it's like 2 racks and then a delayed factory in comparison to like a 1-1-1 build. But yeah, you go for the 2 racks and then the factory, faster starport. But for, one reason or another, Koreans tend to like that 3 racks into, you would get, the tech lab, you get usually stim for reasonably quick stim with a fast CC. So I'll have to see if he decides to follow it up with that 3rd racks.
Yeah, I think definitely merits and demerits to both, of course, but StuN throwing down the proxy pylon. Could see a proxy Stargate this game. It's in a pretty decent position for it. But last game, Nado did get the engineering bay to be prepared for that. Let's see whether he is following the same sort of build order, but in a different fashion this game. And this is going to be this is going to be a really interesting game twice now. First, this is going to be a really interesting game because Nado, the previous game, got away with the 14cc without StuN knowing. StuN reacted, or Nado tricked StuN into thinking there was going to be some kind of cheese down, and StuN reacted very defensively to what was actually Nado's greed. And that is exactly what you want your opponent to do. So this game, StuN has actually responded to greed with greed, took his probes out of gas, threw down the fast Nexus, and is now, it looks like, going into an aggressive Immortal bust with a couple of sentries thrown in to keep those SCVs away from the repair. So we'll see how this matches up, because it's a very similar sort of style coming out of Nado, but StuN this time knows what's going on. So we'll see how he can pull it off.
Anytime I see something like this, it harkens me back to IEM Toronto 2014, Flash versus Zest Grand Finals, and Zest, King Sejong Station, proxies that Robo. And it's just, it can be really powerful even if you do scout it. So depending on how this is handled by Nado, I mean, Immortals can still shred through Terran Bio with some Zealot support. So this can definitely go well. We've got the additional 4 gateways being added on for that 2 base eco. And again, Marines, they're just kind of walking around the map. That's what Nado does. They won't quite see it, though.
No, they're not currently waypointed towards that Robo, and the prox pylon is a little way away, but now with 2 Mortals, a 3rd one, of course. Oh, no, actually, that's an Observer on the way as well, in case of any Widow Mines. But naturally, the factory's just coming out for Nado. He's only got a handful of Marines, and StuN with a army supply advantage, and these are all Protoss units as well, generally a little bit more supply efficient. This is looking really, really good for him. Nado now sees what's going on, or sees at least a couple of sentries coming in. He is going to throw down those 2 extra bunkers, but this is a little late. These bunkers are going to be completely shredded. Nado's getting his SCVs in position, which is great. He needs those, but the force fields are going to break him out of position pretty quickly, and that bunker goes down so fast to the 2 Immortals.
The Immortals bursting down the front door, and Zealots getting some nice hacks in there as well. Time Warp going down just in case SCVs are trying to get to the front lines, as there's a stutter step back from those Marines. But again, this Protoss army, well, the Mothership Core goes down. That's a nice kill, but can he actually kill the powerhouse units?
Yeah, those Immortals, the backbone of this, a couple of sentries still alive. Force field, 1 force field there is going to go down. There's still 1 more on that last sentry. And yeah, he's going to use it to focus down that Marauder, trap a couple of these Marines in position as well. And now StuN with the Immortal. One of these Immortals has 14 kills, 15 now. He is just blasting away at all the bio here. These Zealots booting up as well. And now on the ramp, just going to be slaughtering these SCVs. And it looks like StuN is going to be evening this series up, throwing down a little extra proxy pylon just for those slightly faster reinforcements. Nado, GG. StuN manages to put a point on the board.
Game number 3, excuse me, and certainly the ace match between these two players. It's been an action-packed series thus far. Who will finish things out and potentially advance from this group in first place? Well, he just needs to win one game, the man in the north. Presently representing StuN, this is StuN.
And his opponent is going to be finding himself down on the bottom spawn in Binary Reset Station. Been favouring the 14cc so far. This game, it's going to be a bit more standard from him, it seems. It is our Red Terran player, Nado.
Things are shaping up nicely for just a standard play on Vani. Of course, that in-base natural, it's so droppable, but it's also nice and easy to secure for an early expansion. And hey, Reaper Expand, it's not bad versus Protoss, although you don't always get the damage done that you would like to.
No, not so much, but you do very much expect that scouting and regard any probes you pick up as bonus kills. And actually, yeah, here's this little Reaper wall that I've kind of gushed over in a couple of my last tournaments. There are a few ways to Reaper wall. Of course, Reaper walling just kind of stopping that Reaper from running around behind the back of the mineral line and around the Nexus, being chased by the Mothership Core or the Stalks or anything. And this is one of the nice ones on Binary Reset Station, I think. It's a great way to hide tech as well, because it makes it a lot more difficult for the Reaper to actually get into, kind of through that wall. If you hide something on this pylon right back at the back of the base, the Reaper essentially has to go all the way around to scout it. It can kind of go up and hug that wall, but if you have a couple of units in front of it, it becomes very, very difficult for the Reaper to actually get in there and get back out again, which the Terran player will quite often want to do. But we'll see what actually comes out of StuN with this. It looks like he's gone on one gas for a little while. The Reaper, though, is going to get its way in. Shouldn't be able to get this probe. Actually, just annoys it a bit and then makes its way out, counting the pylons as it does so, and sees all three. So Nado knows that everything is well. There's no kind of proxy stargates he has to worry about for now.
As far as on the NATO side of the map, following up with that CC, again, it's a few seconds behind the Nexus, but not enough to really write home about or anything like that. Follows it up with the reactor and then the factory, which is aiming towards that standard 2-base 1-1-1.
Yep, all looking pretty normal for him. The factory is not being proxied, so I'm a little bit disappointed in Nado, but
true.
I'll forgive him. I mean, you know, after game one, he's allowed to slip up now and again. But yeah, this Reaper is going to be scouting around anyway. He knows it's highly unlikely to be a proxy stargate, but why not check either way?
Why not?
After the way this game has gone, he has to be worried about a proxy robo as well. By the way, the Twilight Council is the choice from StuN, so likely, yeah, there we go. There's Blink, and this is the more normal opening here. So after very unusual games 1 and 2, they both settle down into what I would describe as the most typical standard meta PvP at the moment. A Reaper expand into Mine Drop, defended by the Protoss with a 3-gate Blink opener. We haven't seen the extra gates come down, but I'm expecting just a couple for a nice kind of defensive Blink. And obviously if no aggression comes, then he can move across the map and start harassing the bunker at the front.
Well, the Reaper goes down before being able to see too much of interest inside of that main base. He's going to step forward with these Marines. Mothership Core needs to back off, pop off that photon overcharge most likely. And if he does, then that means the Marines can just walk out of here with the knowledge that they wasted that energy. Trades out one Marine port, which isn't too bad. In some cases, they want to bait out that photon overcharge so they can do something a little bit sneaky, a little bit nasty somewhere else, maybe over at the natural. A mine drop, as you referenced, is very possible. Hey, it's even happening.
Absolutely. And yeah, we do see that medevac moving on out with the single mine inside it. StuN has actually good for the robo before anything else, and this is going to serve him pretty well against the mine drop. Yeah, he didn't have too much. Oh, he saw well, he doesn't really have too much information to confirm mine drop, but Binary Reset Station, I would very much expect the mine drop. There's the extra couple gateways. The rocket facility, though, the observer is coming out, and yeah, StuN's actually in position to fend off this medevac as it comes in before Blink is finished, but yeah, it's not too bad. Nado can try and find somewhere for this mine to drop, or you know what, it's not too much of an investment. The mine and the medevac are both going to be used in his army anyway, so he'd like to do some damage with them, but doesn't have to.
One thing that's always kind of cute, kind of the Polt mine moving out across the map, where it's just like, you drop it down somewhere on the map, sometimes it just gets you a little bit of vision, but sometimes it gets you like a really cool kill. One mine dropped into the main base. There's Photon Overcharge firing off. A couple of Stalkers going to be firing as well, and with the Observer, it fires. Well, it kills off that. Actually, I guess there's 2 Observers there. But they kill off that Widow Mine very nicely. Over by... Oh, wow, these Observers may actually spot this Widow Mine, which would be super annoying for Nado, but very nice play there. Or I guess almost random or lucky Observer pathing for StuN, but very nice from him.
Yeah, really good. Doesn't look like, if he did see the Widow Mine, he's not doing anything about it just yet.
Yeah.
But we also see the double forge coming out from StuN, as well as the third base, of course, all indicating he wants to play that longer game. The Blink style is the Blink opening is generally a little better for that anyway. But there's lots of options you can go for it. And
kind of the
Colossi
CJ
coming out
style, or the hero style.
Yeah, a little bit. And yeah, these couple Colossi coming out. With the double upgrades, he's probably going to stick on Colossus for a little while, even after he does get his third base. Whereas typically you'd see, in a kind of Robo opener, or Colossus opener, you'd see StuN get the Colossus out, get 1 or 2 out, take a third base, and move towards Templar. He's probably going to delay his move towards Templar, so he actually gets a lot more value out of the upgrades. And of course, with all that gas going into upgrades, there's a little bit less Templar. But actually, with no Colossi, don't think he's going to be able to defend this third base all too well against all these Marines. Oh, there's one now.
Deny the third game is a game that many TVPers do indeed play. The first Colossi stepping forward, of course, it does not have range done. That's still 70 seconds away, which means, unfortunately for Nado, since he doesn't have any Marauders, he can't do much. But, of course, that does mean StuN needs to be careful. Trying to stutter step to pick off a couple of those Stalkers, but StuN is good enough at controlling those wonderful Stalkers that he doesn't lose any of them. And well, there we go. Hey, Widow Mine, you know, sometimes it does something cool.
Yeah, sometimes it does. And Nado, I mean, as you say, he flew the Observer over it, but I guess he still didn't know it was there. Maybe he does now. Yeah, he's going to clean it up.
Hopefully.
But you know what? Taking out 1 Stalker is cost efficient for a Widow Mine. Stalkers are pretty expensive and Widow Mines are pretty cheap. Nado, though, moving out with 4 medevacs, 2 in pairs going different directions. Looks like one is going to try and make its way into the natural, where a waiting pack of Stalkers is, and the other one is just going to try and open up a push into the third base. But there are 2 Colossi ready and waiting for Bio to hurl themselves into their jaws. And yeah, the 2-2 starting up for StuN as well. It's going to try to make very nice upgrade lead when it finishes.
Marine's going to be stepping forward over in that natural position, and I guess back in the main base, it's just going to be that Phoenix, as Photon Overcharge does indeed pop, and there's going to be the push into the third that you were referencing. Of course, Colossi, now they do have that range, they are going to be able to deal with this drop without too much trouble, and in the main base, it gets pushed away as well. StuN on the defensive end, pretty darn well handled.
Yeah, he is absolutely showing why he is on Spino with some awesome drop defense play. And yeah, as I said, this is, so far from both players, been a much more standard game. And StuN has looked very much the superior player so far. Of course, we haven't seen any real big engagements. Just a couple of harassment attempts by Nado that have been deflected. But we'll see when it comes down to the actual engagements. Those will be when it matters, of course. And we do see the Vikings coming out and a second starport even being added on for that double Viking production again. And yeah, we'll see how well it serves Nado in a few minutes, I suppose.
Armory just going to be finishing up, and that +2 will eventually be on the way for Nado, but it's going to be so far behind that of StuN's own +2, and on top of that, both of these guys getting a bit supply blocked here and there on their journey to this position. There's going to be another push in. Of course, this Nexus has recharged quite a bit, so even if he was able to target it down, he may not be able to kill it. This is, well, it was an attempt at a diversionary force, but yeah, as you saw there, lots of Stalkers going to be stopping that from even moving in.
Yeah, absolutely perfect splitting up his forces by StuN. All the Colossi, where the kind of big armies are going to be coming in from the ground, and all the Stalkers, where the armies are going to be coming in from the air. On Vinery Research Station as well, This is known to be a pretty good map for drops, and StuN has made them look useless, really. Nado hasn't really done a single thing with his drops. And yeah, you wished at the start of this group that you want to see some Warp Prism micro from your Korean Protoss, and we do have a Warp Prism out on the map, moving up the right-hand side. And yeah, we'll see whether any drops come down. Nado doesn't really have any kind of defense at home for it. There's just a scouting supply depot, and of course a missile turret in the middle line, but that's not really the issue. ScanN's going to pick off an observer over Nado's army, and the first few Vikings start to trickle in. So Nado with 7 Vikings is going to be able to two-shot these Colossi, although actually I don't know if he will, given they have +2 armor. So I mean, StuN's got a pretty big armor upgrade advantage here.
Unfortunately, a lot of these Zealots getting directly on top of that, and Bio not allowing the engagements to happen easily. And the other kind of bad thing is that the Vikings were stepping forward while taking a lot of damage from the Stalkers. They were able to clean up the majority of the Colossi, and there the last Colossi does go down. So that's a lot of the splash already used up for both the Terran and the Protoss. Widowmine's about to recharge in just a couple of more seconds.
Yeah, but you know what? A couple more seconds is going to see Storm finish as well. Only about 20 seconds away. The Widowmines do get cleaned up before they actually manage to go off. I think they managed to kill an observer in the splash, so a second one had to be brought in. But StuN does bring that extra observer in. Eventually cleans up all the Widowmines, and a few High Templar positioned on the high ground with Storm finished now are going to be devastating for the next time Nado pushes in.
He's looking for another angle. He can't quite find one that's kind of clear of this Protoss. He's going to step forward, take down the Photon Cannon, and he's going to be looking again at kind of an awkward angle. There's a Storm! There's a second Storm to decimate this Terran Bio.
Beautiful Storm there for StuN. Perfectly positioned, just where Nado was going to kite into. And yes, StuN demolishes that army, pushes forwards. And yeah, back in the base, the Ghosts are being taken out by the Warp Prism Zealots. These Zealots do have charge and are going to clean up those last couple of Ghosts. And StuN pushing in towards the 4th base of Nado. There's nothing here to defend it.
A lot of the Terran army has been routed. It's trying to deal with this drop in the main and the natural, as finally those Zealots do get cleaned up. But the 4th, as you mentioned, getting absolutely trashed, as it's just going to burn down quite sadly, and finally does get targeted there. But Zealots, a couple of them going to be stepping towards that 3rd location. They don't necessarily have to do a whole lot here. I mean, they've curb-stomped a bit of the Terran army and certainly disrupted the natural.
Yeah, and 3-3 now finished up for StuN. With no Ghosts to answer these Archons, they're going to be enormous amounts of damage. They're not that much tankier because of the 3, but they get so much extra damage to Bio. In the splash, it's going to be fantastic against Nado's Comstock Bio army. The Storm's going to be great, and these Colossi doing so much damage. The Vikings, a Storm takes 2 of them out, and the 2 left are not going to be enough to deal with the single Colossus of StuN. Let alone the rest.
This is the situation that so many Terrans hate Protoss for. Zealots being warped in on a couple of different fronts. When he's trying to defend the 3rd, they're being warped in at the natural via that Warp Prism, and it looks like the Warp Prism's heading in once again. And as you mentioned, yeah, the Vikings, they've been coming out in numbers, but of course that means he had to... Oh, wow, this is a huge 10 Zealot warp in at the natural. Yeah, there's a bunker, but there's not a whole lot in it. And once again, disrupting mining while pushing in at the 3rd at the same time. More Zealots going to be walking into the line of fire. And Nado just being pulled apart bit by bit as 2 more Nexus going down on the north half of the map.
Yeah, absolutely, and that bunker at the natural falls. The units inside quickly sliced apart by the Zealots, and StuN looks like he's pushing forward. Just a little bit of engagement. Oh, a great Storm goes down all that way, and these medevacs so low on energy. This is real damage being done to the Terran army right now.
You want to go for Vikings to deal with the Colossi, you need to cut the medevac numbers, and then suddenly you need more medevacs, and you have to cut your Viking numbers, and this Terran army being slaughtered as it's so low on HP. The front line Archons eviscerate the lines, and GG comes down. StuN, with 2 series wins in a row, advances on in 1st place out of this group.
Thanks for watching the video. Please subscribe to support the ASL by hitting the button now.